Hey guys, Scotty Z, and today I want to share with you the number one thing that is costing you the most money in your life and how to get rid of it. So let's talk about tax and the benefit of having your own business and how you can get away from some of that tax stuff, all right? Now, it's an interesting concept here because a lot of people think that tax is just two things in life that are always going to be constant are tax and death, right? These are the two things that we have to put up with. But if you have a look at the world that we live in today, there are a lot of countries out there that are either zero tax or very low tax compared to what we pay here in Australia or America or Canada or UK or wherever you are, right? So let me talk about Australia. So the Australian tax system, you're going to have to pay at least 30% of your tax, up to 50%. That's 1/3 to 1/2 of your money that you earn, you have to pay to the tax man. Now, I love in Australia that we have perfect roads and perfect streets and street lights everywhere and everything's great and safe and all that stuff. I think that's amazing, but I think sometimes it goes a little bit too extreme. Yesterday, I just got home from Russia. I spent a month with my wife's family over in Russia, and Russia has some interesting issues of its own. You know, ex-Soviet Union in the last 30 years has been this big weird transition, but regardless of any of that, let's have a look at their current state of affairs. They have a 13% income tax, whereas in Australia we have a 30% income tax. Yeah? And before I moved back to Australia after Russia, I lived in Bali, Indonesia for 3 years. And in that time, I became a non-resident for tax purposes. I totally severed all ties with Australia and I moved to Bali. And I was able to do that, and I lived in Russia for a year as well after that, because I worked out how to use the internet and my personal brand to be able to build my business online. So I can literally live anywhere and work anywhere because of social media and because of my brand on the internet. And what I'm able to do because of that is choose locations to live that don't cost me 1/3 to 1/2 of everything I earn in taxes. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's two benefits to having an online business, and particularly a personal brand business. Is one, if you are in business, and this goes for any business, is you can claim a lot of your stuff on tax. For example, this is my home office, so this is literally in my home, and I claim a portion of all of my home expenses on my tax, including electricity, because of what I'm doing here. My internet, I claim my phone bill, my computer, all of that stuff. So if you have a business already, rather than having a job, you're able to claim a lot of stuff because of that, because you're in your own business, in which case you can lower your tax rate. But it gets even better. If you become a non-resident for tax purposes, which, as I said, when I was outside of Australia, that's what I did, and I'm contemplating doing the same again now. We had our son, who's now 15 months old. You may get to hear him in a moment if he screams. Benefit of working from home. But when we had our son, we decided to move back to Australia because it's a really good lifestyle here for kids, or so we thought. But now that we've been back, actually, when I was in Russia, I really got thinking about it. It's the cost of living here. Not only that I pay 30, 40 to 50% of everything that I earn, and it's more about 30%, 1/3. So if I, hit my target this year, I'd be paying $300,000 in tax. $300,000, I can build a beautiful villa in Bali or a beautiful home in Russia or somewhere else that I'd like to live for 1 year's tax savings. That's incredible, right? Just because I'm not a tax resident of this beautiful country. But I can come and visit. My family's here. I can come and spend up to 6 months visiting my family in Australia, but I cannot have a permanent abode here. I would have my permanent abode in Bali, and I have a permanent abode, which just means a place to live, my home, in Russia as well with my family. And you could do the same thing. See, when you build your brand online, and you're able to literally process payments on the internet, you run your business remotely from wherever you are, you can leave your home country, which a lot of people want to do anyway, to travel. And even if you did that for a few years, and maybe you want to come back and settle down here later, which we may do, the amount of tax that you save is it's incredible. You think about it, if I was gone for 3 years, I would save nearly, again, this is based on this year's projections and it will go up, but I would save $900,000 in 3 years on tax alone. Now you think also about the living expenses. It is 3 to 4 times more expensive to live here in Australia than it is in another country like Indonesia, Thailand, in places South America, in Russia, even in places of ex-USSR. It's just absolutely incredibly cheap to live there. 3 to 4, even 5 times cheaper for everyday living, like, even petrol. Petrol's a third of the price in Bali. Why? In Russia, it's even a third, or probably a third of the price in Bali too, as it is in Australia. But you think about food. I go to the local markets, and albeit we only eat organic food, so we pay more for that, but we're paying probably 5 times more for organic food in Russia. It's incredible. I go and buy food from a grower in Bali when I live there, and I'm paying a third of the price that I'm paying here in Australia. I go out for dinner here in Australia, and I'm paying, at least 3 times as much as I would for an equally lovely restaurant in Bali for the same meal. Okay, so you think about, I'm saving a third on tax, but I'm also only paying a third for my living expenses. So by the time all of this adds up, the amount of money that you save by not being in Australia is just so incredible that you can invest that money. Because the biggest thing about business is we're printing money on the internet, right? We use social media, we add value to people's lives like I am to you right now. And if you choose to join me, you can join my programs. You can join me in Brand You Unleash. You can join me in Brand You Accelerate. You can learn how to grow your business from me. I will add massive value to your life to the point where I'm confident if you apply what I teach you, you can build your brand on the internet and have a thriving business on social media as a coach, as a consultant, as a therapist, an expert of some sort, or as a network marketer, as an affiliate marketer, marketing business opportunities and products. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is social media and how to create value on it. And that's what I teach. And because of that value, in exchange for money, the value that you have, I'm able to live the life that I live. And you're able to do the same. And once you're able to do that and have your brand producing income for you, go traveling, go and see the world, become a non-resident for tax purposes, run everything online. I mean, when was the last time you went to an actual bank, right? Everything's done online these days. Run everything online. You can even keep your Australian bank accounts or UK or wherever you're at. You can keep your bank accounts and still use them, but because you're a non-resident, you're not paying tax anymore. Genius, right? Save that money, invest it into some income producing like real estate or stocks. Personally, I'm a real estate guy, but you might be into stocks or some other type of investing. I like real things that I can hold. Invest that money into real estate, and then over the next few years, build up a real estate portfolio that replaces your income, and then you're completely free, okay? And hopefully you love what you're doing and you'll continue doing it anyway, but you wouldn't have to by that stage, because again, you think about it, in the next 3 years, I would have enough money to literally, if I bought $900,000 worth of real estate, I could be bringing in $10,000 a month with the right real estate, bringing me a return. And even if I was only getting a 5% return on that, and I was bringing in like $4,500 a month that I've created in 3 years on tax savings alone, not including all of the savings of my living expenses. So this is what I want to get across to you. Yes, it's incredible to live in this country. I love being in Australia, and I think we're so blessed to have grown up here and to live here. But the amount of money that it costs us to live here, especially as you're building your business, the best thing you can do is get out of this country, go and save that money on taxes and living expenses, and build your wealth for generational wealth. Build your assets, your cash producing, your income producing assets now, so that later you can retire and enjoy. Yeah? Now's the time that you can do that, because social media, the internet, this little gadget has provided opportunities for entrepreneurs like you and me to be able to, again, add value to the marketplace and receive value in the form of money so that you can live the life that you want to live. Scotty Z sending big love to you. If this resonates, leave a comment below. I read them all. I'm excited to hear about your vision of what you want to create for yourself. Where do you want to live? Imagine you could live anywhere. Imagine you could travel and be anywhere you wanted to be. And even if it was 12 months and you went and set up a permanent abode in another country, you could set that up and go and be a non-resident for tax purposes. Now, let me just say this as a disclaimer. I'm not an accountant. I do not work for the Australian Taxation Office, and this is not legal advice, okay? So if you want any deeper information on this, the best thing you can do, if you're an Australian, is contact the ATO, Australian Taxation Office, as I did when I became a non-resident. I was very transparent with them, and they gave me all the information that I need, and I'd recommend that you do the same. Always play within the rules. It's like playing a soccer match. You've got to play to the rules. You can't pick it up and run along with it. Same as what we play in the tax game. You can't do certain things, but there's a lot of things that you can do, like headbutt or off the chest or whatever it is in soccer, right? So find out the rules for you, but imagine you could travel and be wherever you wanted to. I'd love to hear where you would like to be. Would you like to go and live in Bali for 12 months? It's an incredible place. Would you like to go and live in Costa Rica for the next couple of years on a lovely eco-village? Or how would you like to live your life? Some really amazing, we spent time in Montenegro, right on the Adriatic Sea opposite Italy, right where the Mediterranean is. Greece, Albania, and Montenegro. It's an incredible place. It's like 10% tax or something really low, very like a third of the, maybe a quarter of the price of Australia to live there, on the sea, just beautiful. We were thinking of buying an apartment there to rent out, and like a rental property, and then be able to stay there when we want to stay. There's so many options once you tap into this, build your personal brand, and be able to pretty much live the life that you want to live. So I leave you with this. Where do you want to go? How would you want to live? If you were completely free to do what you want to do when you want to do it, what would your world look like? What would your world look like for you as the free man or woman that you're here to be? Love you heaps, Scotty Z. I'll see you in the comments, and otherwise, have fun. See you soon. Cheers.